This is advanced LRU caching for model inference from theory to production tutorial. You have spent weeks training a state-of-the-art model. It's accurate, it's robust, and it's finally in production. But then reality hit us. Every single inference request, even if it is the exact same prompt from 1,000 different users, hits your GPU. This spikes your costs, increases your latency, and hammers your infrastructure. In high performance engineering, we have a saying, the fastest inference is the one you never have to run. Today, I'm going to show you how to build an advanced LRU cache specifically designed for machine learning. We aren't just going to wrap a function in a decorator. We are gonna build a memory-aware, time-sensitive system that can handle complex inputs like dictionaries and tensors. Here is our path today. First, we will start with the beginner foundation, the mental model of an LRU and why the built-in Python tools often fail us in production. Second, we will pivot to an intermediate implementation, building a custom cache from scratch to handle non-hashable types. And finally, we will reach the advanced tier, where we implement memory-aware eviction and time-to-live logic to ensure production stability. LRU stands for least recently used. Imagine a bookshelf that only holds 5 books. When the shelf is full and you want to add a new book, you have to throw one away. Which one? The one you haven't touched in the longest time. So Python actually gives us this out of the box with functools.lru_cache. Let's look at the code step by step. Here we begin by importing functools. This provides a C-optimized LRU implementation that offers near zero overhead for simple inputs like strings or integers. Here we apply the decorator with max size equal 128. This is your safety net. Without it, the cache would grow infinitely until your system crashes. We choose 128 as a standard power of 2 to balance hit rates with memory safety. In the function body, this block only executes if the input is unique. We will simulate a 1-second GPU delay here to demonstrate the massive performance gap we are about to breach. And then we return the result for input text. On this first call, Python hashes the input and stores the result. On the second call, Python finds the pre-calculated result in big of 1 time. We have saved 1 full second of compute time. But there is a catch. If you try to pass a dictionary or a list into this function, Python will throw a type error. Standard caching tools require hashable inputs. In the world of AI, where inputs are often complex, JSON objects or configuration dictionaries, we need something more flexible. So, to gain control, we need to build our own. We use an OrderedDict because it behaves like a hybrid between a hash map and a doubly linked list. It allows us to move items to the back of the line when they are used. This structure is necessary because it tracks the order of usage independently of the value of the data. Here is a code step-by-step breakdown. Standard tools fail with unhashable types like dictionaries. To fix this, we utilize OrderedDict for its unique move to end capability. So we import OrderedDict from collections. In this class, the constructor defines our capacity, the hard limit on the total entries. This keeps our memory usage predictable in high traffic environments. The OrderedDict is the engine here. It preserves insertion order, which we will leverage to identify the least recently used items. Our get method does two things: retrieves the data and updates its priority. If the key is not in the cache, we return none to trigger a new inference. The move to end is the critical step. It shifts the accessed item to the most recently used position at the end of the dictionary. This shields it from being deleted in the next eviction cycle. The put method manages the insertion of new data while enforcing limits. If the key is already present, we update it and mark it as fresh. Then we store the new value in the LRU position. When len self.cache exceeds capacity, we must perform the chop. By setting last to false, we remove the item at the very start of the dictionary, the one that hasn't been accessed in the longest time. In production ML, item count is a dangerous metric. 10 1 GB tensors will crash your server, while a million 1 KB strings won't. Our production cache must be memory aware. We also need input hashing to handle complex JSON objects and time to live to prevent stale predictions. Let's break down this production grade class. For a production ready system, we use sys for actual byte tracking, hashlib for fingerprinting, and datetime for time-based expiration. This architecture for stability. We replace a vague count with a strict max memory MB limit. We also introduce TTL seconds, which is called time to live, to handle model drift and stale data. This is pre-calculation. Converting megabyte to bytes once ensures that our memory checks are high performance, that is big of one comparisons. To cache dictionaries, we serialize them to a string. We use sort keys to true. This is vital. It ensures that identical dicts with different key orders result in the exact same cache key, maximizing our hit rate. Then we hash the serialized string to create a fixed length unique ID. Every GET request is now verified for age before it is returned. If the current time is past the pre-calculated expiry, we delete the entry. This guarantees the user never gets an outdated prediction. Now, move this item to the back to mark it as the most recently used. Alright, so before storing data, we use sys.getsizeof to measure its actual impact on RAM. If adding this value would exceed our byte limits, we enter a loop. We pop LRU items until the current bytes allows room for the new entry. Then we pop the least recently used item from the head of the OrderedDict. We also handle the value with its expiration timestamp and update our byte counter. Then the delete helper ensures our current bytes tracker stays perfectly in sync with actual memory usage, preventing invisible memory leaks. Finally, let's put it all together and watch the cache manage itself in a live environment. I have set a 10 megabyte limit and a 5-second time to live. Watch how the second request is instant, but the third request after we wait for the clock to tick automatically triggers a self-clean because the data is stale. Here, we initialize our production cache with small limiters so we can clearly see the eviction loop and the time to live expiration in action. The cache is empty, so we simulate the first heavy inference call. We save the result. The cache measures the bytes and sets the time to live timer. And this call is big of 1. We skip the GPU bottleneck and return the result immediately. Then we sleep for 6 seconds to trigger the 5-second time to leave threshold. And finally, the get method detects the expiry, deletes the entry, and returns null. Accuracy is preserved over speed. In conclusion, production caching is about balancing speed and safety. Remember, we use max size as your insurance policy, move to end as your priority engine, and sort keys to true to ensure your hit rate stays high. If you found this useful, hit the like button. Thanks for watching.